Coming to you live from downtown Detroit, this is Benzinga's PreMarket Prep with your host, Joel Elconin.
This is a volatile puppy here, isn't it?
And Dennis Dick.
I'm bidding a penny. I will buy the stock for a penny.
With everything you need to start your trading day. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this Wednesday edition of Benzinga's PreMarket Prep. Spencer Israel, Joel Elconin, and Dennis Dick. I'll tell you, for a half day, we got a our news on our radar today. We, of course, had Tesla deliveries after the close. We have AVGO potentially buying Symantec, another deal for Broadcom potentially in the works. We have the co-CEO out at Canopy Growth. We have some numbers from a report on Walmart's struggling e-commerce business. We have gold moving. We have oil moving. So there's a lot to get to on today's show. Our guest is Bill Santiago, a trader and a comedian. He would join us at 8:35. But in the meantime, Joel, tell us what happened here overnight.
What a busy day we're having here. Unbelievable on the shortened trading day. S&Ps are trading up 6.25 points at 29.8575. We are in unknown territory here. New all-time highs and current high 88.25, pre-market low 73.75. They wouldn't come down to my bid at 72.75, unfortunately, and we will see mid-range on the session 29.81. That's your first level of support. Crude, after that shellacking yesterday, a little bit of a rebound, up 42 cents at 56.67. Silver following suit here, up 1.7 cents at 15.255. Gold, Triple D will tell us about that gold rally last night, 14.41 in after hours trading. Was that a new high for the move, folks? Let me take a quick look here. Beginning to fade now, but gold got a boost around 7 o'clock and just missed the high of the move. Former high of the move was 1442.90. We got into the 1440 handle. Big resistance moving forward. And this is an everything rally. Bitcoin in the green too. By the couple $100, I believe. No, now it's in the red. No, I did the whatchamacallit futures. I did the futures that don't trade anymore. So let me do the CME futures, up 390 at 11,380. Triple D, your head was on a swivel last night.
Oh, so much different news. I mean, I participated in the gold rally by shorting it. That was obviously a good call. But it was individual news. There was the fireworks happened, I'd say around 6 or 6:30 when it came out. I can't remember the exact time, but rumor came from Bloomberg, Symantec going to be acquired or is in talks to be acquired by Broadcom. SYMC explodes, and there was some sympathy plays. There was some other stuff. There was a lot of plays off of this. I went straight to Symantec on the headline. It went real fast. I mean, it was up at $24 in, a split second. I tried to get some. I could not. I know there was one of my buddies at Bright did pick up a little bit, I believe, at 25. But anyways, it's come back in. This isn't official yet. So, it's interesting. It was trading up in the 27 handle last night. It has come down substantially. There hasn't been an official deal announced here yet. So, I don't know, maybe a speculator's getting a little worried that maybe this deal isn't done. Anyways, they paid up big time last night. What was the headline, Spencer?
That was the headline. That Broadcom is in advanced talks to acquire Symantec. Remember that Broadcom is just coming off of their acquisition of what was it last year that they paid $15 billion for? $18 billion for CA Technologies, right? That was last year.
Yeah.
And you said, Dennis, that the FT Financial Times had put a number on this one.
Yeah, Financial Times came out. I think they said 15 billion. Going from my memory, so don't quote me on that. I think when I just read that FT article that they were saying, they had more of a feel for it. They were saying around $15 billion. What I found very interesting, and when I couldn't get the Symantec, I'm like, okay, I'm going to short the Broadcom. I actually was able to get short some Broadcom above $295 last night. But Alex, if you're listening there, I got the FIFO problem. I'm analyzing it. So it immediately, within a couple minutes, is down at 290. So I'm getting quickly rewarded for that short. And it's hanging out there. And then I'm looking at the market caps, and I'm like, okay, well, first, it's still just a rumor. It's not a done deal. Secondly, is they're knocking a couple billion off the market cap. If they give a couple $1 billion premium, it's right there. So I talked myself into covering at 290. And then I watched it go 288 and 287 and 285 and 280 and all the way down to the 274 handle. Now that got silly down there. At that point in time, they were knocking 7 or 8 billion off the market cap of AVGO for, a possible $3 or $4 billion premium. Crazy town when it got down to 275. But anyways, it's back up here at 282. I have the FIFO problem. I need to stop covering so quickly.
Well, if you just would have went and got a drink of water or something.
I know. You're sitting there and you just made a pretty good call. You get the short and you think, okay, I actually got some above 296. It was actually trading up at the time. You're thinking, okay, I just made 6 points on this, 2%. And your brain does funny things with you. Obviously, I should have held. I wish I would have held. Didn't, but it is what it is.
It's just hanging out here. I could give you that pre-market low of 74.88, but Bulls and Bears are just squaring off here. We've been pretty quiet since that 4 a.m. open. So I'll just kind of look right where we're the mid-range, kind of right where we're trading right now is, your swing area. Let's call it 283. If you want to just stick to the daily charts, you could see a low at 82.23 and then 78.10. And then interestingly, where it stopped, you probably would have no time to look at this. 275 was low on June 24th, and then the low on the 25th was 76.02. So moving forward, that's going to be your major area of support. What sympathy plays did you?
And then I grabbed sympathy plays there too. So I was actually all over this except for the SYMC. I bought FireEye right away.
Okay, yep, I
bought CYBR right away. I bought Palo Alto Networks right away. I've sold Palo Alto. I've sold FireEye. Still got some of the CYBR. I didn't feel like it came up enough, so I didn't sell that one. It's the only one I got left though. But there's always sympathy plays, right? So you got to be quick. And obviously in this case I was. I think I was the first person to buy FireEye. I was one of the first people to short Broadcom. I was one of the first people to buy Palo Alto Networks. And you got to pay up a little bit. There's no okay, I'm going to send my bid. You got to grab it. You don't play games. You hit the bid. If there's, when there's news like that, you hit the bid. You don't play games. But it's just basic headline trading. Again, Josh Brown says we can't do it, but we can. So, there is opportunities there. You got to be quick. I wasn't quick enough to grab the semantic, though. The bots were all over that one. But I was quick enough to do some of the sympathy plays.
All right. Lombardo 141 says, if FIFO makes you money, don't change, man.
It makes
we
me
all
money,
know that one day.
So, here you are, Broadcom, you make 6 points. It goes down 20. I was literally pulling my hair out like this. I'm pulling my hair out. I was like, why did I cover? I covered. It hung out there for 4 or 5 minutes. I hung out and I was like, okay, maybe that's all it's got. So I was kind of trying to wait. And they're like, you know what? Okay, I'm just going to cover it because it's a quick 6 points. It's still just a rumor. It's a big knock off the market cap, 6 points. I did not see them knocking it down 20. I did not see that happen. I thought 10 points best.
Yep.
Anyways, obviously that was not the case.
Real quick for Paul W. We always love questions. Anytime you have a question on anything we say, any of the terminology, I want you to interrupt us immediately because that's what we're here for. Handles is an old school term. Yeah, Spencer put that in there. So a point, it's same as a point in the S&P. So from 286 to 287. That's a point. I could say points. I call it handles because that's what you call them on the floor. So I guess I usually only use handles for the spoos. I
call them handles too.
Yeah. Okay. It's just a terminology.
When you're talking the handle, you're talking the digits before the decimal point. So, for example, if we bring up AVGO right now, it is trading the 283 handle. So, maybe that's not right. It's something maybe I picked up from all you floor traders when I started with all you guys back in the day. But anyways, I do the same thing. I say the handle is the number before the decimal point.
Okay. All right, boy. So that, I guess before we go to the Canopy growth news, Dennis, what happened in gold last night?
I'm trying to figure that out because it started, and I'll play gold a little bit, and I'll make markets a little bit, and it started exploding. I was like, short. I shorted all the way up, and some up in the 135 on the GLD. Obviously, the futures, they're picking you off a little bit, but then I turned around and hedged it with the GDX. I hedged it with some of the gold stocks, with some of the miners, and I'm playing it that way. It's just basic arbitrage. You got to be quick. Those things go really fast, but you can still do it. But it's come all the way back down here. So I have no idea why we exploded last night to the tune of what? How much were we up?
Oh, we're up another $20 here.
Yeah, so we've given it all
20
back.
handles.
We're up 20 handles. Now we've given it all back. I have no idea what happened there. No idea. But all I can tell you is I'm pretty happy it did that last night because I made some money short in gold.
All right. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, you did get a big old spike in gold. And if you were holding out, and this is what makes levels and trading, a little bit more difficult. If you're holding out just for like the raw numbers, like the exact number, if you were holding out for that recent high at gold at 1442.90, you didn't get anything. You got a big ND back on your paper order because 1441 was the high. And that's how the double top. So if someone, a big institution or big player say, hey, 1442.90 was the high, man. I want out at 1440 or better. I don't care about that 42.90. And then the orders get stacked up ahead of that big level. So moving forward, we got a big area to keep an eye on. Trading near the lows of the session, believe it or not, up 1180. So a long way for it to go red. Silver had a nice pop too. Were you able to play any of the stocks, or are they pretty illiquid at that time of night?
No, I was able to play some of the stocks. I was able to pick up some, there's a few. They're not that illiquid. Barrick Gold is one of the most liquid ones, so it's one usually you can pick on. I was able to get a few of them. You're just trying your best to hedge it. I was a little bit unhedged because I just felt the rally was overdone, so I was a little comfortable staying a little unhedged, which was obviously a good call because it's giving it all back. Wish I wouldn't have hedged any of it, but it's always a good. I like to try to play market neutral as much as I can. I like to be hedged in the sector as much as I can. There's 50 gold stocks out there, so you just start picking around and you start trying to buy a few. So it worked out okay.
All right, more news here. Bruce Linton out at Canopy Growth. I guess he got the boot here. Spencer, you got any news on this? It says Canopy Growth in the red.
Yeah, the headline was an hour ago that he would step down. Now apparently it was more so that he was forced to step down. What is notable is he was just on CNBC. He did say if he could invest in another cannabis company, it would be Organigram. That's OGI. They just uplisted to the NYSE, I believe, a few weeks or a few months ago. But he is out, and they have launched a search to identify a new leader to guide the company to their next phase.
OGI getting a lift. Thanks for bringing this up. I did not even realize that this was. I've never traded this stock before. So what is this?
That's because it just uplisted not long ago.
Do I have a chart? I have a chart from the last few years though.
Well, because it was OTC. So.
Oh, gotcha. It was OTC. Yeah. Okay.
It was
I got a new stock to trade. I'm gonna write that one down. OGI. So this is a pot stock.
Yep.
All right, I have a new pot stock to trade. Yeah, new pot stock. All
What's the symbol?
OGI. Urca Golf Ida.
Yeah, that's a new one here. So that's where this guy's going?
No. He was asked if he could invest in one company right now, which would it be? And he said probably OGI. So literally that means nothing, but
okay.
It's just a throwaway comment he said on TV just now. But that's the reason for that spike in OGI. CGC, back to the main mover here.
Gold is just moving around like crazy, guys. I don't even know what to say. I'm just looking at gold here, and we are just bouncing around like crazy. We were just down. We just rallied $5. Now we just sold it all off, the entire 20-point rally. Now we just rallied $5. This gold is wild right now, guys.
With CGC, I want to say real quick, there was time to hit this. That headline on Canopy.
Headline trading.
That headline on Canopy broke at like 6:59. I don't know when the first trade was, but it was like a minute late. It was like 30 seconds later. Like I was watching the chart. There was time. You had time at 40 to hit that.
Wasn't time for me because I was sleeping. What time was that at?
It was like 6:59.
Oh, I was here at my desk. Okay, so I was not sleeping. I was at my desk. I just did not see that headline. Lots going on. At 6:59 is crazy time because at 7 o'clock you get all your retail basically brokers coming online, because most of them are through Edge, and that's when those exchanges open. So you're jockeying there. So you have the ERC open, and then SDQ open is at 4 a.m. People don't realize you can trade as early as 4 a.m. on those exchanges, but you can. If your broker doesn't allow it, ask them why. And if they still don't, I'd say switch your broker. But at 7 a.m. you get to that point in time. That's when everybody comes online. So that's when pre-market trading starts for the world, really, because that's when Edge comes on and all their exchanges. So you have different exchanges opening at different times for the pre-market session. So anyways, at 7 a.m., there's a lot of action going on from that opening. So, I was probably focused there. But CGC, nice headline if you got short. Good job.
Dennis, I don't know if you want to give away your secret sauce here, but in the Google YouTube chat, Emily is asking, if you're trading after hours, do you just accept the large spreads, or do you have a way to work around that?
Well, I mean, it depends on the news, right? So if you got a takeover and you think, you're going to pay up whatever, you basically, you're trading after hours and you're headline trading. You're not sitting around, oh, I hope somebody's going to hit my bid. You got to take the offers. It's like, this is maybe an order out there that shouldn't be there now. It's going to be called, it's adverse selection is what they call, from, the term there, where you're picking off another trader. Somebody's sitting out there, maybe they're not priced for the new information. So typically I'm going to be, just, taking liquidity, just lifting the offer or hitting the bid. But, if that's the headline trading. But, there's also different instances where you can use, maybe you think somebody's just getting overdone and there's a lot of selling pressure. Maybe you want to throw your bid out there and maybe you get done even lower. There's different tactics for it. But for the most part, the spreads, that's the one downside of after hours is if you get on the wrong side of something, you could get stuck with it. And a lot of times, I might be in something, I'm like, okay, I don't think it's, I'm basically positioning myself, I don't think it's going to open here tomorrow. So a lot of times I'm entering trades after hours and getting out of them after 9:30 when the stock's actually open, when the liquidity comes. So if I feel like I'm getting a good price on something, I might just hold it overnight and then, go to 9:30. I don't necessarily need to enter and exit after hours. I would say probably the majority of my trades, I probably think, okay, I don't think like for instance, if you're trading, the sympathy plays on, last night, which was a great example on Semantic. Okay, well, I'll take, and I'll try to buy it up at 1475 and 1490 because I think it's going to open higher tomorrow because of this new news. So you're going and then you're just taking offers. And, obviously, I was able to get out of some last night, but I wasn't concerned. If I had to hold that overnight into today, I'm fairly confident it's probably going to open higher because of that semantic news, unless, the whole rumor gets denied. That would be the scenario where you would lose on it. But I mean, there's all kinds of different ways, but you can't just be going and randomly paying 2-point spreads and stuff either. So, it's an art. It's a completely different game. It's an illiquid game. I'm basically, buying stocks when I feel that they are mispriced. So I feel like something, and, it's just my systems. It's my own, quantitative analysis. I'm going to be wrong a lot of times too. I might buy a stock and think it's mispriced and I might be dead wrong. So, you just got to analyze from that perspective. But I'm basically doing after hours trading when I feel like a stock is mispriced.
All right, just real quick here, quite the segue here from CGC trading in the red here. Great area to keep an eye on. 38.38 was your low that you had just a few days ago. The low of the move comes in at 38.38. Did we get lower on another time? So let's see what that other low is. That other low was
the low this morning is 36.53.
Right. But I'm going to the dailies here. That got a little, maybe we got a little bit overdone. 38.44 has been the line in the sand right now. We did go lower into pre-market trading, but first things, the daily low, there's going to be more liquidity come in. Is there going to be shorts here, trying to cover off this? I mean, the pre-market low would be a good target, but let's see what happens. It's just, it's a CEO, leaving the company. The trend has not been good either. If you want to hold out
for
the
stocks, I think the story is over. I'm honest. I've said that, for the last month or two. I feel like, I still have a little piece of my ACB. I wish I didn't have. I actually, listen to this one. I was going to sell my ACB on Monday. And then I realized, I'm holding it in Canada. So I actually logged in and I placed an order to sell my ACB into Monday's rally. And it like just when I'm like, why am I not getting out? And I'm like, oh, it's closed. Toronto Stock, I forgot. Toronto Stock Exchange was closed. So I'm like, okay, I'll just sell it Tuesday. Well, Tuesday went down. I didn't sell it. So I actually was a victim of, getting out of my last of my ACB. I would have got out of probably the open at like 798 equivalent if the Canadian markets were open, but they were closed. Now I still got it. But you know what? I just feel like the buzz, no pun intended, is over here. The easy money was made. These things now, if you look at them from a valuation perspective, it's all silly. The story isn't, got the buzz to carry it anymore. That's why I feel like if you're holding all these pot stocks now, valuation is starting to matter.
Can I add something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I add a different perspective to
Yeah, I love different.
I honestly hadn't thought about, but we got a comment here from Alan Brockstein. Constellation Brands, right? Remember them. They've got this huge investment in Canopy Growth, and they've got board seats. And remember that they had criticized on their most recent earnings call. They had criticized they were not happy with the revenues coming out of Canopy Growth, and so Alan Brockstein just gave us some pretty good color on Benzinga Pro just about this, essentially just about how you could see in the earnings call that the Constellation was not happy with the growth at Canopy Growth. And once it was clear that their revenue guidance was not going to be met, that's why this change was made.
So this STZ CEO is pushed them out. Is that what Alan's inferring?
More or less. But if you look at Constellation, I mean, look at the chart of STZ since the investment. I don't know if they've benefited much, and he's saying they haven't.
Overpaid.
He's saying they haven't benefited much from this investment. Really, and that was what, 2 years ago? And I don't know how much.
Who else has made a big investment in pot stocks?
I don't know.
Really, as there's been some smaller ones maybe, but they all see what Capita can. I honestly think Constellation Brands way overpaid. I think they overpaid, and maybe that's just my opinion. But I think that's why you're not seeing anybody else come in. And they've speculated Philip Morris is going to come in. Bud's going to come in. All these alcohol they're going to have all, a consolidation in the industry. All these alcohol companies going to come in, and the tobacco companies going to come in and buy all these pot stocks. Hasn't happened. And I think it's because valuations are ridiculous on a lot of these. So I think there's a good reason for why it hasn't happened. It was good. It was a good story for a long time. A lot of these stocks were carried. But when you start looking at the charts on the monthlies for most of these pot stocks, they've kind of gone nowhere as of late, and if not, they've been leaking. I mean, Constellation, Kramer always says that's best in breed. Well, best in breed has not done very well at all in the last year. Really, we're back in July, August, we're $50. We're 38 here now. So you're down here in the last year and a half. It could be consolidation go higher, or it could be the fact that all these things were trading at ridiculous multiples, and now it's starting to come to roost. Is like, okay, well, maybe the profitability isn't going to be there. Competition is coming. They're opening it up. Down in Leamington, where AFRA is, there's 3 more companies or a couple more that are getting pot licenses. They're opening it wide. So, in Canada at one point in time, there was like 30 licenses out there. And we got to get Alan on. And Alan, if you're listening, I'd love to get you on and get your thoughts on a lot of this too, because we know you're a lot more connected in the industry than I am. But I'm just giving you my outside perspective, is that I think competition is coming everywhere for these things. And they're all trading with multiples of 100 times earnings, and it doesn't make sense at a certain point in time when competition is coming. So that's why I think, the ACB, I was going to sell the rest of it. I've got a little piece left, but I don't want to own any of these things right now because I think valuation is actually starting to matter.
And this is one that we had missed, but it sort of proves the point of why and how listening to an earnings call can really be helpful, or at least following what happens. Because Constellation had their earnings report on Friday. Right? Yeah. This is Friday morning. So their conference call on Friday morning, which is really at the end of earnings season here, and they made a lot of comments about Canopy Growth, and I didn't see it personally. But this just speaks to the benefits of following. Of course, you don't know when they're going to be relevant. Non-earnings calls at a 10 are boring, and you can get what you get from the PR, get what you need. But this is one where if you're to bother to listen to the call or read the transcript or read the news stories about it after the fact, you would see that there is obviously some tension in between Canopy and Constellation Brands.
Yeah, that's a good call there, Spencer, too. It's another reason why headlines are important and news is important. I know there's a lot of people who discount news and say, okay, well, it's all priced in all the time and you don't have to worry about it. High frequency traders have that all efficient. I even said before they make it more efficient. But I tell you, there's still a lot of opportunity in interpretation of news, because the one thing the bots do not do well is interpret news. They can buy a stock like Symantec last
Not
night.
yet.
They can easily read the headline. But they weren't shorting AVGO last night because they're not interpreting that. Maybe they're going to start reprogramming themselves to do that, because we saw what happened with AbbVie when they made the bid for Allergan. We saw what happened. So maybe they're going to be starting doing that. And if any high-frequency trading robots are listening, maybe I'm giving away the tips here. But I mean, there is a good money to still be made in the interpretation of news. If headline stock gets bought out for $50 a share, it's trading up 40, the bots will be all over that and they can buy it up to 50. That's, those opportunities are gone. Symantec, I was all over last night. Within 5 seconds, I was on it. And there's really not that much opportunity unless you want to pay up $3. So, I mean, it's a different story. And yeah, that would have worked, but you're still buying a rumor. And how do you know how much the premium is just from a headline that they're in talks? So, you took a gamble there buying it at above 25, in my opinion, last night. And that's why, the bots probably didn't buy it. They bought the 23s, 24s right away. And then they're like, I don't want to gamble. So, I mean, there is still a lot of money in the interpretation of news, and you can get obviously information from these conference calls, different things. And I mean, if you're technical trading, you just trade technicals and you just want to trade in the middle of the day and you're making money doing it, do it. I mean, that's, if you're making money, continue to do it by all means. I make money interpreting news. So I want my Benzinga Pro feed. I want to know what the news is. I want to listen to the conference calls. I want to, when Charles squawks something and it's something breaking, I can still make money from that. So there is still money to be made from the interpretation of news, maybe not just money from, X, the exact, something that can be written into a program. That's my rant.
That's okay. I'm just looking at this Constellation Brands chart here, and you had that bump after earnings, but someone is making a stand here at 196, 197. Last two highs just under 197. So man, there's a little wall forming there. So if this thing doesn't bust through that, I'd say on the hop here, I think you get a gap fill. It's consolidation, but man, they got to take out that seller, and it got ridiculous that day in earnings. I remember it was trading like 203, 204.
Yeah.
After that. So, boy, someone's making a stand there at 197 in Constellation Brands. Spinner says he thought that Mo did a pot investment, a couple brilliant in Cron. I don't.
There's been a couple smaller deals, but there hasn't been like we were expecting, like another Constellation where they're going to buy a huge chunk of the company, and that really hasn't materialized. And that was a long time ago. Like when the ST Zebra deal happened, remember they all blasted off. The pot stocks were kind of in the gutter. Back when that deal was originally announced, you can go back and look at the charts, and they all took off because they're speculating that all of them are going to get big investments from, big tobacco, from big, the alcohol makers. They're going to get all this, and it really never materialized. And I'm just going to say, I think it didn't materialize because the valuations are just too expensive.
All right, 29 minutes into the show, and we haven't talked about Tesla.
Interesting. Yeah. And I tweeted this last night. I kind of felt bad after I tweeted it, but I kind of did poke the bears a little bit there. After it rallied $20, I was like, hey, my Twitter stream's kind of quiet here from the Tesla bears. But I was like, you know what? I've obviously, not traded this stock good whatsoever. I was long it, and I got rid of it. And, I was bearish it forever. Then I decided I was on the train. Then I was out of it. So, it's kind of my nemesis. So I should take back what, I was tweeting and kind of making fun of the Bears, because obviously they were wrong. They've been wrong here in the last month, but who knows? The long-term thesis still has not played out. I do not believe this is a zero. There's a lot of people out there. We've always had Mark Yusko on the show who said this is a zero. I don't believe that. I believe there is some value here because I think the technology is good enough that if it started to get down to like the low 100s, I think somebody buys it. So, whether it's a hostile bid or not, I don't know, but I think somebody eventually would buy it if the price got cheap enough. So I don't think it's a zero. Obviously we don't know if the numbers are, the numbers were good. I mean, that's the one thing is the numbers have been continued to be okay. Everybody's been saying demand problem, demand problem, demand problem. Those numbers didn't look like a demand problem. Give us those results there, Spencer.
Well, the numbers the biggest thing was they have to prove that they can make cars, which this quarter, or for the last quarter at least, they did. And I thought this number would come out before the open, and it actually came out after the close.
Yeah, we were
But
expecting it, but
yeah, but the big number, regardless, 95,000 vehicles delivered last quarter, which was well within the 90 to 100,000 range they had guided. They hit their guidance. That's a big deal. The estimate was somewhere in the low to mid 80s or low 90s, depending on who you look at. But the fact that they hit their guidance, significant. Most of that production, most of their deliveries in the Model 3. But regardless, the big number, 95,000. They hit the guidance. That's a step in the right direction.
Joel, what are your thoughts? You see a 20-point rally in this last night. It's kind of leaking a little bit here right now from where it was last night, but it's holding up fairly well. Do you think this is, a breakout you're chasing here, or is this something that you think you're going to get another chance, which you always seem to get another chance in Tesla?
Yep. Well, we'll use the that initial spike as our first target, 245 on the upside. But since you hit that, you definitely, someone has an opinion here at 242. So first of all, I'd see what happens here at 242, and then the pre-market high 245. On the dailies, this is that 235, 240 area was the area that really held up before the breakdown. 243.88 or 68 was your daily high. So a lot of resistance up here. I like to see it come back down to 235. That was the area. That was the top of the consolidation period. Will still be a considerable gap from yesterday's trading with the high at 29.15. But I'll be more interested at 235 than 241. Plus, anybody that paid up wildly on the options, that expired today, maybe be locking in some profits here. I'm not sure where the 340s were trading. I'm sure it was right at 67.
Hard to make money buying options in Tesla.
Oh yeah, there's so much premium.
Think about just, if you were just writing puts for the last 6 years. 6 years ago, going back to 5 years ago, 2013, the stock price is exactly where it is right now. We've really gone nowhere in 5 years. So the bull bear debate continues to be, obviously fully it's on, because the stock's gone nowhere for 5 years. So bulls think this is, it could be, the next thing that, it's all going to go electric. They're the leader. Eventually, I've heard cases that this is going to be $1,000 or $2,000 or $4,000 a share. And then you've got the bears out there that say, look, they're burning cash like crazy. Eventually, they're going to burn through all their money, and it's a zero. And then everything in the middle is what has worked. I mean, if you were just sitting there and saying, okay, if you're buying puts or buying calls, playing one of those theses, you've been dead wrong. You've just been right. If you've been writing calls and selling puts, you've been dead right. So Nick Shaheen, if you've been selling puts on this thing, saying it's not a zero, and I think, there's a good case. I remember Jeremy Newsom coming on our show, I believe it was him, and saying he was rating something, way down like the $100 area, saying I would be a buyer down there if it gets down there. He was getting premium for that. So rating options has been the best strategy to play Tesla in the last 6 years.
Yeah, too hard on the timing for the pops. I mean, I'm sure they had plenty of premium there in the options, but we'll see what happens. 242, we mentioned the area of resistance, pre-market high. I'm sure a lot of people would like to see at 245. Triple D imbalances have been quiet here. Anything you'd like to add on that?
Every day, forever and ever and ever. It's for years now. I feel like 291,000 is selling GE every single morning. Okay, same thing. And selling balance, they're small. I'm looking around and trying to find something else of note. Taiwan Semiconductors got 53,000 to sell. Man, I don't see a lot. I don't see a lot of imbalances that are really of interest here.
All right, I want to bring on today's guest, a favorite of the program, Bill Santiago. He is an independent trader, but he is also a comedian, so I'm sure he'll have some jokes for us. Bill, good morning. Can you hear me?
He's a comedian. That's way too much pressure.
I'm sorry, Bill. All right, Bill is not a comedian. I take that back. Bill is not a comedian. He is just a trader. Bill, how's it going today?
I'm pretty good. I'm very annoyed with the Zoom thing. I can't figure it out. I know you guys are all over. It's messing me up. I've got notes. I don't just do this cold. I'm up all night writing bullet point for you people. and now Zoom is blocking me. I guess can't. Let me try. Oh, there it goes.
It's working. We see you, don't we?
Yeah.
You're working now.
Yeah,
You're looking good. Bill,
I just took a shower. I was up all night for you. I don't say that to everybody.
Clean out. You shaved too.
I did. Yes, it's been a while.
Bill, I'm looking at your history here, and you
My
served.
history, not my internet history.
No. You were on
I only send
CNN,
that to the CIA.
CNN Saturday mornings.
Oh yes, it's quite a downgrade. I hope you appreciate it. I used to be somebody. What happened?
Now you're on Benzinga's PreMarket Prep. That's an upgrade. First of all, we tried to get you at the event. We missed you at the event. You had some family commitments, right?
Yes, I'm hoping the commitments don't come through the door while I'm talking to you. They're off from school.
Okay. All right.
I was at their graduation. Did you know a 4-year-old could graduate?
You got to make a big deal out of things like that.
Huge.
Yeah.
4-year-old?
I have a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old. Yeah.
Oh, I'm right in the mix. I got a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old.
I know. I hear you all the time. I just don't get as many colds as you do. But otherwise, I'm in the exact same situation.
Oh, they both got pink eye right now. Everything. They just get sick. Honestly, I think my boy has been sick 352 days of 365 days from last year.
Yes, it sounds like it. That's Spencer, right? You have a boy named
Spencer. He's sick all the time.
Sometimes I think he's the one running things over there.
Oh, he is. Oh, you see him sneak in the background there sometimes. He is. He runs.
He's not on board with the Beyond Meat. Is that correct?
No, he tried and he
gave his verdict. He's right.
No,
he's
he
right.
said it's a 0.
I'm suspicious of anything named Beyond, but I guess Beyond Meat sounds better than fake meat. I think Trump should instead of calling his media coverage fake news, you should call it Beyond News. It's Beyond News. You know, he could stay in for another couple of terms, which is what I think he's planning on anyway. Well, what
down and dirty and trade that Beyond Meat?
Absolutely not. No. You know what I did? I sold Allergan the day before it got bought by Abby. So that was a good move.
I did that one too. I did it back in the day when Kraft Heinz, I'm going back probably like 15 years ago or 10 years ago. I had Heinz in my long-term portfolio for like a decade and it had done nothing. And this was when it was trading as HN Zebra. So it's back, in the 2000s. And I'm like, you know what? The stock's done nothing. I made, I've got the dividend off it basically for 10 years, but it's gone nowhere. And I sold it, I think at like 36 or 37 bucks. And then the next week, Warren Buffett takes it private like 60. I was like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding? I hold it for 10 years and I sell it the week before it goes private.
I know. I got to stop listening to you. It's terrible advice. I sold Tesla because of you at like 190. I'm regretting that.
Oh, you sold it because of me?
Yes. Yes. You were like, if it breaks support, you're out. I was like, Dennis is out. I am out.
Sorry.
Hey, but you know what? I was thinking you guys can really step it up if you start using some of the language that they use on CNBC on Fast Money. There's one phrase that they're using all the time now that I think you guys should incorporate.
That Carter Worth is really
hit us up.
To your point. They never say like you were saying or like I was saying. It's always to your point.
To your point.
I don't know if you've noticed that, but after I explain it to you, you'll hear it every time you talk. They don't go 3 seconds without saying to your board. To your point, if you back out everything that makes a stock a total loser, it's definitely a buying opportunity. To your point, what if the Fed can't engineer a soft landing? We get a hard Brexit and a sunny side down. This is not working. Why
sunny
did I even
side up eggs?
Anyway, to your point.
Did you hear last night? Did you watch last night? Carter Worth on there. He was dropping terminology I've never heard before. He was talking a couple stocks that they were rallying back, and he was like, "There's all overhead supply up here, dead bodies." I was like,
"Dead bodies, yeah,
bodies before for overhead supply."
Carter Worth is dead on. I have to say, he called Tesla. And when Carter Worth says something with conviction, like chances are that it's going to happen. I don't know. I don't know what kind of
stocks. He's right and wrong, but we're all right and wrong.
But sometimes he heads it when he says this is happening. Like he said Tesla, like I know this is happening. I'm coming to you from the future. It's happening.
To your point, Bill.
To your point. Hey, if the Fed is trying to engineer a soft landing, I hope Boeing didn't build the airplane. How How come people think that Boeing is still not in trouble? They built an airplane that sometimes does the exact opposite of what the pilot wants it to do, and somehow people think, oh, it'll be over in a second. Then they didn't bother to tell the airlines that bought the plane that this might be a problem.
So
why are people surprised it hasn't bounced right back?
I think there's major issues here. I have no position on it now. I tried playing.
If you hit the gas and it goes backwards and you don't tell the driver, it's a problem. It's bigger. It's not a little thing. And that was the 747 Max. And now Nike is grounding its Air Max July 4th sneakers because Colin Kaepernick is not a fan of Betsy Ross, apparently. So
I know.
Nike has to do an about face on that.
That's ridiculous.
It is kind of ridiculous. Look, I'm not a football star, so I don't know. I don't have those kinds of historical insights into how an early flag represents slavery. But this guy, he must have information that I don't have.
Yeah, that's
which is why I'm worried about cryptocurrency, because he's going to come out any day now against blockchain, because symbolically, auction blocks and chains have a connection to slavery that I'm sure he's going to find very offensive.
That's a good point. That's a good point, Bill. So tell people when you listen to the show. You're not always an early riser. You're a busy guy. You're traveling around the world. When do you get to listen to the show?
Mostly on the M10 bus on the way to PS 125 in New York City in the afternoon around 2 p.m. I catch it on airplanes. I catch it in airports. I binge on you guys. Yeah.
So you'll listen to more than one, and you'll listen to a couple in a row if you need to catch up.
Yeah, sometimes it is information. I just want to know what's going on in your lives, and this helps me. I'm so connected with you guys.
Wait, Bill. So what have you been trading recently?
What have I been trading? Well, I just told you I had a terrible, emotional response to the way Allergan was sinking, and I sold that right before it went up 26%. But the last thing I bought was Trade Desk at like 200. I'm pretty happy with it so far. I got downgraded yesterday, but I'm sticking with it.
It shrugged the downgrade off. That was a good sign.
I did buy a little Abby after the merger. I thought it went down so much, and it had gone down so much. I figured let me pick up a little bit. So that's okay for the moment. It's a little precarious, but mostly I'm in cash. Like right now, if it's not a screaming buy, I won't part with my cash. I'm building cash. I'm waiting. Everyone talks about how worried they are about the recession, but a recession, that's the ultimate buying opportunity. I can't wait for a recession. I've got all my dry powder ready to go. I'm waiting. I hope it happens tomorrow.
Yeah, the Fed is definitely they're definitely teasing about that. But Bill, you're always good at picking up on different statements and different. Dennis and I would go back and forth, and you've heard a lot of different things. Why don't you give it let's take Beyond Meat. Is there any particular calls or particular statements that either of us made on that kind of sticks out in your mind, or?
Wait. You said I do remember you were saying something about I can't recall it at the moment, but
okay.
But I was thinking that Beyond Meat, isn't if they had just called the company Bacon, if Beyond Meat did well, if you
Beyond Bacon, that's a moneymaker.
Yeah, just Beyond Bacon or just Bacon.
That's a moneymaker.
What's better than Beyond Bacon?
Let's do that. Beyond Bacon.
If someone IPO'd a company called Beyond Bacon, I would just come out with actual bacon, and you can't beat actual bacon even with Beyond Bacon. I would go with
like that Beyond Bacon idea. Pea-based bacon.
Pea-based bacon.
Pea-based bacon. Pea-based bacon.
You can't do.
I wonder how it's going to fry up in the pan, though.
You can't do plant-based is just not. I mean, it just has no appeal to me. And the idea of sparing animals as if that somehow makes you a benevolent person. I always think that to me is not an argument for vegetarianism, because if the carrot could, it would eat you. A carrot does not feel the same way about you.
Carrot just can't move. It's stuck
you
under the
feel
ground.
About
But if it had
cows.
teeth, it would eat you.
Yes, absolutely would. Yeah.
Speaking of Beyond Meat, I got a weird email yesterday. So I subscribe to Renaissance Capital. They have the IPO ETF and they track the IPO industry, and so they've been all over Beyond Meat. Obviously, they sent an email out yesterday, a Beyond Impossible Independence Day, and the entire purpose of this email was not. Usually, I just get the emails when a new IPO is announced, their company files. They'll say, "Hey, here's what's happening in the IPO land." None of that yesterday. This was just a warning to let me know before I fire up my barbecue on July 4th for my Beyond Meat burgers, to let me know that not only do they have no meat, but they have significantly more salt and less protein than real meat.
Yeah, they're bad for you.
and more calories. I don't know why they sent this email out, but they did. And I got this email now.
They're 10 times more expensive and they're bad for you. No wonder they're selling. No wonder people can't get enough of them.
It's the buzz. The buzz.
Hey, what did you guys think about the G20? Did it deliver on your expectations? Were you surprised that the markets went crazy the day after when absolutely nothing happened?
There was Friday.
Well, stuff happened.
Yeah, I guess stuff happened. I mean, they didn't.
What happened? I mean, Trump and Xi basically just said, okay, Huawei. We're not gonna do what I said it was good. Trump never follows through.
Right, but that's a happening, right? To put Huawei, to remove them from the blacklist, that's a development. I mean, the semi's ripped.
If they had released the CFO, the CEO's daughter, she's still in jail in Vancouver. She's under house arrest. I don't see how this moves the needle at all.
What about these ride-sharing stocks?
Yes, I want some. I'm waiting for them to crater, and then I'm going to get some. I'm tired of them ripping me off with this surge pricing. I want some revenge alpha on this.
Do you prefer Lyft over Uber or?
You know what? I used to. I used to, but after hearing the Democratic debates, I gotta go with Uber. I'm becoming more right wing as I listen to the Democrats hash it out over how they're going to turn the country into an anti-billionaire state. I'm with Uber. I like the ruthlessness.
And when are you? What are you doing for the 4th of July? Anything special with the kids?
No. Yeah, I'm going to be with the kids. I'm going to be in a lake, and we're going to be watching fireworks, and there will be no sleep. And I'm making up for the fact I was on the road for a month. But
okay, and then
a lot of swimming. I'm going to be doing laps.
Oh, I was in at 5:30 today. They had to open the JCC for me today. 5:30. It was
but I'm doing it in a lake with like live snakes. They have live snakes in the lake.
When are you coming to do a show in Detroit?
Well, after this performance today, I don't think they want me, but I hope to. I hope to get there at some point. I've been there. I just haven't been there when you guys are there. But I like Detroit.
All right, we got to get you on. We got to get you here in the Motor City. At least Spencer, Dennis, and I will come. I'll get my wife to come too, so we'll have 4 people. But Bill,
I'll bring my wife. Except I'm not married. Thank God.
Okay.
No, but I love her. You know, I'm actually very excited that now I can use the language from the stock market to express what's going in my love life. You know, and
really.
Maybe it's because it's on my mind all the time, but that's the lens through which I see even the most personal details of my life. Like, well, you know, last night my girlfriend and I achieved a simultaneous upside capitulation after a sudden short squeeze, and I went long.
All right, this is a PG show here, bro.
Well, come on, even
PG.
I know it won't last long because every time she treats me nice, there's always a 50% retracement and a reversion to the mean, which wasn't a problem when I had a more diversified portfolio. Okay, I'm done.
All right, Phil. I knew it. You were a little. I put a lot of pressure on you because I said you needed a new shtick. And you came up with some good ones.
I always come up with something new.
You were about to get downgraded, but now you're still in a neutral, man.
All right, now I know what they like in Detroit. I'll just open with that next time.
All right, man. We love you, Bill, and we're gonna get you on again real soon. Bill Santiago. Perhaps my favorite comedian, along with Kenny Glick and Jeremy Newsom.
Wow, that's a long list. All right.
Thanks a lot, Bill, and have a great holiday, and we'll talk to you in a little bit.
Later. Thank you.
All right, have a good
All right,
one.
thanks, Bill. You're the best.
All right, casual day here. Half day, markets open, day before 4th of July. We're in a light, jovial mood over here, but that was great. I want to get back to. Yeah, he's always good. I want to get back to the news, though, and I want to talk about Walmart this morning. Recode has a very good article on the struggles Walmart is having in trying to keep up with Amazon. Buried in the 7th paragraph in this article, which is kind of long, is a note here that according to Recode sources, Amazon is projecting more than $1 billion loss for its U.S. e-commerce division this year on revenue.
Amazon is?
I'm sorry,
Walmart.
I meant Walmart. Walmart projecting a loss of more than $1 billion in its U.S. e-commerce business on revenue between $21 and $22 billion. There are more details in the story. I highly recommend it. The gist of it is that Walmart is sort of stuck in no man's land between they don't have the money to spend like Amazon, but they're spending too much and they're overextended compared to like a Target, which is more specialized. They've decided they're going to specialize on like 1 or 2 things and do that really well. And Walmart's sort of caught in no man's land here. They've also, according to the story, considered selling off a couple of recent acquisitions, including Bonobos, not Jet.com, which is their big e-commerce one from a couple years ago. So some good details in the story here on Walmart struggling to keep pace with Amazon.
I think it's terrible. That's terrible, like for Walmart, if any of that is true. And Recode is credible. I mean, you're talking about something, a publication that is widely read. Maybe not on Wall Street is read, but it is read around the world. So, I mean, that's concerning to me. So, down 76 cents, not down much here in the pre-market. Maybe
I got a flat.
I wouldn't want to buy it.
I just got the last.
They've been rallying nonstop because they've been doing so well online. That's this whole rally, this whole 25-point rally was basically because, they're competing with Amazon and they're the guns and they got the online stuff figured out too. Recode's saying that's wrong. That's scary. I would not Walmart here.
Well, I mean, the chart doesn't seem to agree with. I mean, it's a contrarian call, right? And that we make plenty of contrarian calls.
They're saying Wall Street is wrong, and maybe they are. Wall Street gets it wrong all the time. We know the efficient market hypothesis is bogus. So people have been speculating that Walmart is doing very well on their e-commerce stuff. And maybe, they knew that maybe Wall Street knows they're burning cash about it. I don't know, but I don't like reading any of that. That's, everything Spencer just, I didn't read the article, Spencer, just from what Spencer just said. That scares me. If I was long Walmart and sitting on these huge gains, this has been a stock that's really gone nowhere for years and now has exploded here really in the last couple of years. I mean, even in the last year, you're sitting on some huge gains, and now it's telling me your e-commerce isn't as good as maybe everybody thinks it is. I mean, maybe it's wrong. Maybe the Recode sources are not good, but I'd be nervous if I was long this.
They have said the story says that they expect to sell off Bonobos, which they bought for $310 million, and they expected to sell it for less than that this year. And also ModCloth, which is another acquisition, and they've tried to sell both of those. Well, actually, ModCloth is the one they expect to be sold this year. Bonobos, they're not so sure about. But yeah, they're like I said, they're stuck in no man's land. They don't have the cash to spend with Amazon, but they've spent way more than Target, and so they've got more costs and more obligations that way. So they're sort of in between here.
Both of these stocks have had nice runs. Target as well, and it's because everybody thinks they've got the e-commerce stuff figured out. If this is anywhere, if there's any truth to this at all, it's telling me they don't have us figured out as much as everybody believes they do, and that's concerning for Target too.
Yeah, and also just disagreements at the top of the company, which if the takeaway from today's show is anything, it's when CEOs when CEOs are fired, it can be telegraphed beforehand.
I'm very surprised it's not down more. I mean, it's Walmart, it's lower beta, so maybe this is a big move for Walmart, but That's nervous. And I don't know. Maybe maybe the sources aren't true. Maybe none of this is true. But I'm just saying, if any of that is true, that's very concerning.
They don't break out their U.S. e-commerce financials. Like, they won't report how much money it loses. So that's why that $1 billion loss number is significant, because it's kind of the only thing we've got to go off right now.
Joe, what are your thoughts? I mean, Walmart's been straight up. We hear how good they're competing with, Amazon. I see the commercials, the Super Bowl commercial that's focused around their e-commerce business. They're obviously spending a lot of money there. Is this just maybe the Amazon model? They're spending to eventually make money here, and they're gonna, it's gonna burn some cash for a while until, or is it that they aren't figuring it out as much as we think they are?
I mean, from a stock perspective here, the stock has had a very unusual run here. But you're gonna have to wait till like their earnings reports. It's like this is news, this is speculation when the stock's at all-time high. And you'll just have, if they have a big write-down,
but stop though. What Spencer's saying is they don't even break it up in the earnings reports though. So, you're not going to get that information, that how their e-commerce, I'm not sure if that's true or not, because I've never dived into the Walmart reports as much as, as it is. But I mean, if they're not breaking it up, and, this is the first information we're getting that their e-commerce, we know the legacy operations make a lot of money. The stores are busy. So it's the growth factor of e-commerce that's been driving the price here as of late. And maybe, it's not as good as we all think it is.
Well, and losses inherently are not bad, right? In the vacuum.
No, Amazon loses money on lots.
Right, exactly. It's not the fact that we're losing money that's bad. It's your point is that maybe Wall Street's rosy picture of their e-commerce business is not actually accurate.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm just saying from the Recode article. This is the first. This is the first I've heard of this. But Recode, this is widely read. I mean, very widely read, more than probably any other Wall Street publication. Recode is read, is it not, Spencer?
Recode is they're very good in tech. Their tech reporting is second to none, I would say. So, and this is e-commerce is tech. So
I think it could put some pressure on the stock. Stock's up near all-time highs. Now they're saying the e-commerce business, which everybody's been talking about, the Walmart e-commerce business, maybe not as figured out. So I don't know. If I was in it, I'd be selling it.
You got a consolidation period. I'll just look at it from a technical perspective. This is going to be from what you guys are putting together from the report, what the company's saying. It's just going to be one of these things where you wake up one day and it's down $25, where they come out and disclose.
No, not Walmart. We're not saying. I don't think it's going to be like all of a sudden, it's going to be. No, I don't think that at all. I'm just, Walmart moves slow. It's a slow moving stock. This isn't a stock that's going to come out and lose 20. They've got the legacy operations, this cash flow machine. You go into a Walmart, you obviously can see, they make a lot of money. I'm just saying the stock has been a cash cow. You think of you remember that BCG matrix back from like university where you've got, Joel's questioning this. I know you were in poli-sci. So anyways, but they got the growth, and they got the cash cows, and they got the dogs, and they got the stars. Remember this, Spencer? Do you remember this? What I'm talking about? Anyways.
Vaguely.
Cash cows, do not get the kind of multiples. Do not, cash cows are cash cows. They're like your dividends. They're your consumer staples or stocks that just continue to make money. Walmart has always been a cash cow. It makes money. It's not going to all of a sudden start losing money because of your e-commerce business. I'm just saying the recent run-up in the stock over the last couple of years is due to everybody thinking that their e-commerce business is starting to get online with Amazon. It's starting to get up, at that level where they're, competing and they're actually going to be as good as Amazon. And this article is kind of saying no. And that's what's concerning to me.
All right, real quick before we wrap up for the day, we did have other auto sales. Fiat Chrysler had their best June in 14 years. GM, which doesn't report monthly, they report quarterly numbers. Their sales fell 1.5% on a year-over-year basis. Ford numbers coming out today. So expect Ford somewhere between now and the open. But don't know when there. So anything else that we didn't get to, Joel?
No, that Delta news kind of came out after our show yesterday, so that gave a little boost to the airline stocks. So we'll just keep an eye on those. That's kind of like yesterday's news, though. Just wrap things up here. The pre-market high 88.25. From a average daily range perspective, it's still around 25, 26 handles. Still some room on the upside. I like to see a pullback to 29.81. That's mid-range on the session for a little bit of a lower risk buy, and really no good place to short right now. Canopy Growth on the rebound here, now down only 24 cents. So
Spencer was saying Kramer was on CNBC just talking it up again.
Really?
I wouldn't. We don't have CNBC on here right now. We're obviously on our live show, so if anybody confirmed, but that's what he was saying, is that they were coming in and Kramer was really talking it up. When stocks are looking for direction, I'm going to say this again, a commentator on CNBC can be very influential, and nobody is more widely followed on CNBC than Jim Kramer. So if he's out there and pounding the table, and when it's down $2 to buy it, I'm not surprised that the stock would rally some back.
So, Dennis, who are you going to have on the show tomorrow? You're going to be working the Zoom.
I have to work the Canadian holiday, and I have to work the U.S. holiday. Is that what you're telling me?
That's what Ross told us, that if it's not a holiday in Canada, you got to work.
I got to work
holidays. We'll let you. I think the SPOOs will trade until 1 o'clock Eastern tomorrow, noon Central.
Well, they do trade tomorrow.
Yeah. Yep, they do.
So do we know their hours? Do you know what they are today?
Yeah, I just have them up here. So
we know that the market closed at 1. After hours usually goes till 5.
Yep.
Commodity markets.
S&P futures when they
commodity markets till 5. Fixed income 2. As far as tomorrow's hours, I don't know. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Traditionally, they will reopen at 6 and then trade till 1. So that's been pretty much, and then they'll have the little break there from 1, and then they'll reopen at 6. So you'll get part of Friday's action Wednesday night and Thursday. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. But that's all I have for today.
All right. As mentioned, we will be off tomorrow. We'll be back with you on Friday, though. Thanks to today's guest, Bill Santiago. Thanks to all of you in our chats, both on YouTube and premarket.benzinga.com. If you miss any part of our show, or the podcast is available on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, and Google Podcasts. Please remember, all the information on our show is meant for informational purposes only, not meant for investing or trading advice. And that's all I've got. Have a great holiday if you are celebrating tomorrow. And we will see you on Friday, everyone. Have a good one.